It's 10 p.m. on a Tuesday. You just got home from work. You're exhausted. You grab your phone to decompress. You scroll Instagram. First post, some 23-year-old just bought their dream apartment in Miami. Floor-to-ceiling windows, ocean view. Caption, manifested this. You keep scrolling. Just retired my parents at 24. Hard work pays off. Passive income finally hit $15,000 a month. If I can do it, you can too. Quit my 9-to-5 6 months ago. Best decision ever. Living my soft life. You look at your own bank account, $847. Your rent just went up again. You've got student loans. Tomorrow morning, you're back at the job you hate. And there's this thought that creeps in. What is wrong with me? Not, is this real? Not, what's their full story? You ask, what's wrong with you? Maybe I'm not working hard enough. Maybe I need that course they're selling. Maybe I should just quit and go all in like they did. Here's the thing, though. That feeling? Someone is making money off it, right now. And I know this because I almost fell for it myself. Not so long ago, I had $800 in my account. I was scrolling at midnight, saw someone my age talking about how they made $12K in a month. They had a course, $1,200. Payment plan available. I literally had my credit card out. I was filling out the form. The only reason I didn't buy it, my card got declined. My limit was maxed. I was angry at the time. Now, that declined card probably saved me from adding another $1,500 in debt. Because let's be real, I wouldn't have made the money back. So look, I'm not here acting like I'm above this or smarter than anyone. I get why people fall for it, because I almost did. But once I started seeing how the game actually works, I couldn't unsee it. And that's what I want to show you, not from a high horse, from someone who's been exactly where you are. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's talk about what you're actually seeing when you scroll, because these aren't random success stories. They're super specific narratives that are designed to make you feel a very specific way. Financial independence by 25. You know these posts. I retired my parents before I turned 25, quit my 9-to-5 at 23 and never looked back. These sound amazing, but let's just do some basic math here. To actually retire and live off investments, you generally need about 25 times your annual expenses. So if you need $40,000 a year to live, that's $1 million you need invested. Now, if you're making like $50,000 a year and you're being super aggressive, saving half your income, that's $25,000 going into investments per year. Even with good returns, that takes about 15 years to get to $1 million. So when someone says they did it in 2 years, where'd that money come from? I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying the timeline doesn't add up without something else going on. And usually that something else is that they're not making money from the thing, they're making money by selling you the thing. Like, my Shopify store made $200K last year. Okay, cool, but revenue isn't profit. After product costs, ads, fees, maybe they made $20K profit. But then they made $80K selling a course called How I Built a 6-Figure Shopify Store. See what I mean? The business isn't the business. Teaching you about the business is the business. Then there's the whole luxury lifestyle thing. Expensive apartments, designer bags, constant travel, fancy brunches every day. Let's say someone's showing you a $3,000 a month apartment, traveling internationally once a month, designer bags, nice dinners constantly. That's easily $80,000 to $100,000 a year in lifestyle costs. After taxes, you'd need to be making like $130,000 to $150,000 to afford that at 23. Now, some people are making that, but not usually from what you think. A lot of times that designer bag, the brand sent it to them. That apartment, it's a brand partnership, or they're splitting it with roommates but only showing the nice angles. That Bali trip, the hotel comped it for content. They're not rich because they have these things. They have these things because showing them to you is literally their job. It's content, it's marketing. And here's where it gets messy. If you try to copy that lifestyle on a normal income, you end up in debt. Like that $3,000 bag on a credit card at 20% interest, if you're making minimum payments, you're going to pay close to $4,000 total for it over a few years. Or think about it this way. If you're spending an extra $2,000 a month to look successful and you invested that, In 20 years, that's like $400,000. I'm not saying never enjoy your money, I'm saying understand what it actually costs. The last one, the quick win thing. Made 10K in one weekend with this method. Day trading changed my life. Here's what they don't show you. 95% of day traders lose money, not break even, lose money. And that passive income business, most people trying drop shipping or whatever make less than $100 a month. It takes most people 6 to 12 months of consistent work to even get to like $1,000 a month. They're showing you month 13 when it's finally working, not months 1 to 12 when they were figuring it out and making nothing. But here's the real thing. A lot of these people aren't even making money from the method anymore. They're making money selling you the course about the method, which is way easier than actually doing the thing. If passive income was really that passive, we'd all be retired by now. And somehow, we're not. Weird how that works.
Okay, so not everything you see online is the same. There's basically 3 categories, and knowing which is which can save you a lot of money and time. Category 1, completely fake. This is the easiest to spot once you know what to look for. Bank account screenshots? You can fake those in like 30 seconds with Inspect Element. Stripe earnings? Same thing. Those testimonials with profile pics? A lot of times those are stock photos or just made up. The big tell is when the math doesn't make sense. Like they claim 50K a month profit. That's $600K a year. To make that much profit, not revenue, but actual profit, you'd need a pretty serious business infrastructure. Team, systems, probably spending a lot on ads. If they're showing you a lifestyle that doesn't match that level of business operation, something's off. Or if they went from broke to $600K a year in like 3 months with no explanation of how, yeah, just fake. Category 2, real but misleading. This is the tricky one because the success is real, the numbers are true, but the story is incomplete in a way that's designed to sell you something. Example, I made $100K my first year in business. Okay, but how? A lot of times it's because they sold 100 courses at $1,000 each. The course is teaching you how to make money. So they didn't make money doing the thing, they made money teaching the thing. And the only proof it works is them selling it to you. If you ask, show me revenue that's not from selling this course, and they can't, that's your answer. Or the person living the luxury lifestyle, but they're actually 40K in credit card debt. The lifestyle is real, they really have those things, but they're drowning in payments and interest. They're not free, they're trapped. They just look free. Or the I quit my job person who actually took a pay cut, but the story gets engagement, so brands pay them, which is the actual income. The success is real, but the path they're showing you isn't the full story. Category 3, real but incomplete. This is survivorship bias. Like, yeah, some people do build successful businesses. Some people do make good money. But for every person who succeeds, there's 50 to 100 who tried the same thing and it didn't work. You're only seeing the winners. You're not seeing everyone else who tried and failed. Also, when you dig deeper, a lot of these people had advantages they're not mentioning. Family money to fall back on so they could take bigger risks, an existing audience before they started, years of experience in the industry, connections. Someone with 50K in savings can try things that someone with 1K can't. If it fails, one person is fine, the other person is in crisis. Just go all in is easy to say when you have a safety net. That context matters, and they're not showing you that part. How to spot the real ones and why it's on you to choose. Look, I don't want you to walk away from this thinking everyone online is a scammer and all success is fake. That's not true. There are people out there building real businesses, sharing real knowledge, and actually trying to help people. But here's the thing, it's your responsibility to tell the difference. Nobody's going to do that for you. The algorithm isn't going to protect you. Instagram doesn't care if you follow someone real or someone selling you a dream. That's on you. So let me show you how to spot the people actually worth following. What real success actually looks like. The people doing it right have some things in common. 1, they show the boring parts, not just the wins. Real builders post about the mistake they made that cost them money, the strategy that didn't work, the month their revenue went down, the part of the business that's still broken. If someone only shows wins, perfect months, constant growth, that's a performance, not reality. Nobody wins all the time. If they're not showing losses, they're curating, not documenting. 2, they teach for free. Someone who actually knows their stuff will give away valuable information for free. Not teasers, not the real secret is in my course. Actual, actionable, useful information. Because they know that teaching for free builds trust, and people who get value for free are more likely to buy something later. If everything they post is link in bio and DM me for the method, they're selling, not teaching. 3. They have revenue streams besides selling the dream. This is the big one. Ask yourself, how do they actually make money? Real example, someone runs a successful e-commerce store. They make content about e-commerce. Sometimes they sell a course, but their main income is still running the actual store. Fake example, someone's only product is a course about making money. They don't do the thing anymore. They just teach it. If their entire business model is teaching you how to replicate my business, that's not a business, that's a pyramid. 4. They're realistic about timelines. Someone who's legit will tell you, this took me 3 years to build. I failed at this twice before it worked. I still work 50 hours a week. I'm not where I want to be yet. Someone who's performing will say, I did this in 6 months. It's actually really easy once you know the system. I barely work anymore. You can do this too, right now. Real success takes time. If they're not acknowledging that, they're lying. 5. They talk about the money they spent, not just made. A real person will tell you, I made 10K this month, but I spent 6K on ads, so my profit was 4K. A fake person will say, I made 10K this month, and never mention that they netted like $500. Revenue without context is meaningless. Profit is what matters. If they only talk revenue, they're hiding something. Red flags that someone's selling you a dream. They're always selling something.
Every post ends with link in bio. Every story is a pitch. Every comment is redirecting to their paid stuff. Real educators teach. Salespeople sell. They flex but won't show receipts. Luxury lifestyle, expensive stuff, I'm so blessed. But when someone asks how, the answer is vague. Mindset, manifestation, just taking action. If they can't explain the actual mechanism of how they make money, they probably don't want you to know it's from selling courses. Their students don't succeed. Look at the comments. Look at their students' accounts. Are people actually getting results, or are they just hyped up and still trying? If you can't find evidence of student success outside of the testimonials they show you, that tells you something. They use shame and FOMO constantly. Still making excuses, only 3 spots left, poor people say they'll do it later. Real educators inspire, manipulators shame. If their marketing makes you feel bad about yourself, that's intentional. That's how they get you to buy emotionally instead of rationally. They're newer than their success story. They've been successful for 5 years, but their account is 8 months old. Where's the earlier content? Where's the journey? A lot of times these accounts get created after they figure out that selling the dream is more profitable than doing the thing. Examples of what to look for. I'm not going to name specific accounts because that's not the point, but here's what good looks like. Good business owner shows monthly revenue and profit breakdown, what worked and what didn't, actual screenshots with context, the boring operations stuff, struggles and setbacks. Here's what I'm testing this month. Bad guru shows vague income claims, luxury lifestyle constantly, only selling courses or coaching, no evidence of doing the thing they teach. I made 50K teaching people to make 50K. Good financial educators shares their own portfolio and investments, mistakes they made, free detailed content, math and examples. This is what I'm doing with my money. Bad expert shares generic advice, teasers for paid content, no proof they actually do what they teach, just motivational quotes. DM me to learn more. You see the difference? One is transparent, one is performative.
Your responsibility in all this. Here's what I need you to understand. You are responsible for who you choose to follow and learn from. Not the algorithm, not Instagram, not YouTube. You. If you follow someone who's clearly selling a fake dream and you buy their course and it doesn't work, yes, they're shady, but you also made that choice.
I'm not blaming you. I'm saying you have more power than you think. You can ask questions before you buy, look for evidence, check their claims, see if their students succeed, wait 48 hours before purchasing, unfollow people who make you feel bad. These are all choices you control. And I get it. When you're desperate, when you feel behind, when you're scared about money, you're vulnerable. You want to believe. That's human. But that's also when you need to be most careful, because desperate people make emotional decisions, and emotional decisions are usually expensive. How to build your filter. Start doing this with every account you follow. Ask yourself every few weeks, what have I actually learned from this person? If the answer is nothing specific, just motivation, that's not education, that's entertainment. Entertainment is fine, just don't mistake it for learning. Am I smarter about money or business after following them? If no, unfollow. Do they practice what they preach? If they teach budgeting but flex designer bags constantly, that's a mismatch. If they teach building businesses but their only business is teaching, that's a mismatch. Would I still follow them if they couldn't sell me anything? If the only value is leading to a sale, that's not value. Make a conscious choice. Every month, audit your feed. Unfollow 5 accounts that aren't adding value. Follow 2 to 3 accounts that teach you something real. Over time, your feed becomes a tool instead of a trap. The people worth following do exist. I want to be clear about this. There are people genuinely sharing their journey. There are people teaching valuable skills for free. There are people who've built real things and want to help others do the same. They exist. They're just quieter than the people selling dreams. Because real work is boring. Real progress is slow. Real businesses have ups and downs. That doesn't make for viral content. So the algorithm doesn't push it, which means you have to seek it out. You have to be intentional about who you follow, who you learn from, who you give your attention to. Because your attention is valuable, and where you put it determines what you become. If you spend your time watching people flex fake success, you'll chase fake success. If you spend your time learning from people building real things, you'll build real things. It's that simple. Not easy, but simple. The bottom line? Yes, there are real people doing real things worth learning from. Yes, you can find them, but you have to take responsibility for being discerning. Nobody's coming to save you from the fake gurus. Nobody's going to filter your feed for you. That's your job. And honestly, that's empowering because it means you're in control. You get to decide who influences you. You get to decide what you learn. You get to decide what kind of success you're building towards. The real ones are out there. Go find them. The hidden work nobody shows. Let me tell you what actually goes into building something real, because this is the part they skip. Year 1, the invisible year. This is the year nobody sees, nobody posts about, because it's not aesthetic. You're learning, testing ideas, failing a lot, working your regular job plus 20 to 30 hours a week on the side thing. Maybe you made $500 the whole year from it. Maybe you spent $2,000 trying to figure it out. You're in the negative. Nobody's posting, hey guys, I worked 70 hours this week and made $0 from my business. That doesn't get engagement. Year 2, the grind. Okay, it's starting to work a little. You're making maybe $500 to $1,000 a month. Not enough to quit your job, not consistent enough to rely on. You're still grinding, still putting everything back into it. Still not posting much because $800 this month doesn't sound impressive enough. Year 3, the breakthrough. This is when it starts to look like something. Maybe you're making $3 to $5K a month. You're thinking about quitting your job, but it's scary. Competition is showing up. You're dealing with actual business problems like taxes and legal stuff. Year 4 to 5, the overnight success. This is when they start posting about it. Because now it looks good. Now there's a lifestyle to show. Now it's inspirational. You're seeing year 5, You're not seeing years 1 to 4. And when you try to replicate year 5 without doing years 1 to 4, it doesn't work. And you think something's wrong with you. Nothing's wrong with you. You're just trying to skip steps that don't allow skipping.
What they're not teaching you. If someone actually wanted to help you build wealth, here's what they'd teach. But they don't, because this stuff is boring, and boring doesn't sell. Understanding revenue versus profit. Most people hear 100K business and think that person made 100K. That's revenue, not what you take home. Let's say you run an online store and you did 100K in sales. Product costs 40K. Ads to get customers 25K. Platform fees, shipping, tools 10K. Returns and customer service 5K. You made 20K profit. Then taxes, so like 14K actually in your pocket. You worked 50 hours a week for a year. That's 2,600 hours. 14K divided by 2,600 equals $5.38 an hour. I'm not saying don't build a business. I'm saying know the real numbers, because the course seller isn't going to walk you through this part. The real cost of things. When they're selling you on a lifestyle, they're not showing you what it actually costs. That $2,000 a month apartment versus a $1,200 apartment, the difference is $800 a month. Over 10 years, that's $96,000 you spent on rent. If you'd invested that $800 a month instead, at 8% return, you'd have like $146,000 after 10 years. That extra nice apartment cost you $146,000 in future wealth. Again, not saying live in a dump, just know what the actual trade-off is. Because nobody's Instagram caption says, living my best life in this $2,000 a month apartment that's costing me $146,000 in future retirement funds. But maybe it should. Time is the real asset. This is the big one. Let's say you're 25 and you start investing $300 a month. By 65, with average stock market returns, that's roughly $1 million. If you wait until you're 35 to start, same $300 gets you to like $430,000. Starting 10 years later cost you $570,000. That's why all those "I'll start investing when I make more money" thoughts are so expensive. You don't need a lot of money to start. You need time, and you can't buy time later. How they use your emotions to sell. Let me show you the specific tactics they use. Once you see them, you can't unsee them. Tactic 1. Fake urgency. Only 5 spots left. Price goes up at midnight. This offer expires in 24 hours. If it's a digital product, a course, an ebook, there's no actual scarcity. They can sell infinite copies. That countdown timer is fake pressure to make you buy without thinking. And that price increase, it'll come back in a few weeks, usually at the same price. Sometimes with the exact same countdown timer, like they just hit refresh on the scarcity. Here's the thing. If something is actually valuable, it'll be valuable next week too. Real value doesn't expire. Tactic 2. Cherry-picked testimonials. 500 students enrolled. Look at these amazing results. Okay, but how many of those 500 actually got results? If it's a 5% success rate, that's 25 people. They'll show you those 25. They won't tell you about the 475 who got nothing out of it. Ask yourself, if the success rate was good, wouldn't they lead with that number? 83% of students see results. When they won't give you a success rate, assume it's under 10%. Tactic 3. Shame-based marketing. Still broke? That's a choice. I was where you were until I decided to invest in myself. The only thing holding you back is you. This is the worst one. They're taking real economic problems, stagnant wages, high costs, student debt, and making it your personal failing. So you feel like you need to prove you're not lazy. You make an emotional purchase to show you're serious about success. $1,500 course on a credit card. Now you're in debt. The course doesn't work,
Most people don't even finish them, but they got $1,500 from you. And if it doesn't work, they say you didn't implement, so it's still your fault. See how that works? What comparison actually costs you? Let's talk about what scrolling and comparing actually costs. Not just how it makes you feel, what it costs in real terms. Time cost. Average person spends 2 hours a day on social media. Let's say half of that is looking at stuff that makes you feel behind. That's 365 hours a year. You could learn a valuable skill in that time, like actually learn it. Programming, video editing, writing, sales, any of these could earn you an extra $15,000 to $20,000 a year. Invested over 20 years, that's real money. Spending cost. When you're constantly comparing, you spend more. Studies show people spend like 30% more when they're heavy social media users. If you make $45,000 and normally you'd save $5,000 a year, but comparison makes you spend an extra $7,000 trying to keep up, you're not saving. You're going $2,000 into debt. Over 5 years, instead of having $25,000 saved, you have $10,000 in debt. That's a $35,000 swing. Decision-making cost. Comparison makes you make worse decisions. Rational decision, do I need this? Can I afford it? What else could I do with this money? Comparison decision, everyone else has this. If I don't get it, I'm falling behind. I'll figure out how to pay for it later. One leads to good outcomes, the other leads to debt and regret.
The actual solution. Okay, enough problems. Let's talk about what actually works. Step 1. Know your real numbers. You need to know where you actually are. Write down what you owe, all debts, what you own, savings, investments, what you make, after taxes, and what you spend. Be honest. Most people have no idea what these numbers are. You might not like what you see. That's okay. You just need to know, because you can't fix what you don't measure. Step 2. Set your own timeline. If you want to build real wealth, here's roughly how it works. Let's say you want to retire early. You need about 25 times your annual expenses. If you need $40K a year, that's $1 million. If you're currently in debt, first you got to get to zero. That might take 3 to 5 years. Then build your emergency fund, another year or two. Then invest aggressively. If you can invest $800 a month with decent returns, you'll hit $1 million in like 25 to 30 years. Total timeline, 30 to 35 years from now. That sounds long, but it's real. And honestly, most people who look successful online either took the same timeline, they just don't show the early years, had help, family money, inheritance, connections, or they're lying. You're not behind. You're on a normal timeline. Step 3. Fix your feed. This week, do this. Go through who you follow. For every account, ask, does this make me feel bad or teach me something useful? If it just makes you feel bad, unfollow. Even if it's motivational, even if they're successful, if it makes you feel worse, it's not helping you. Replace them with people who show the full picture, not just the wins, teach actual skills for free, are honest about timelines and struggles. Don't constantly try to sell you stuff. Your feed should make you smarter and more motivated, not anxious and inadequate. Step 4. Before you buy any course or program, ask this. Can you show me revenue that's not from selling this course? If they can't or they get defensive, that tells you everything. What percentage of students actually get results? If they won't answer, assume it's under 5%. Can I learn this for free or cheap somewhere else? Usually yes. YouTube, books, practice. Can I afford this without debt? If you need to put it on a credit card, you can't afford it yet. If it fails any of these tests, don't buy. Step 5. Build the boring foundation. This is what actually works. It's not sexy, but it works. First, kill high-interest debt. Credit cards at 20% interest are an emergency. Pay those off first. Every dollar you pay here saves you 20 cents a year forever. That's a guaranteed 20% return. Second, build an emergency fund. 3 to 6 months of expenses in a savings account. This lets you handle emergencies without going back into debt. Third, invest consistently. Index funds. Boring, consistent. Even $200 a month matters. $200 a month for 30 years at 8% average return is roughly $300,000. It's not fast, but it's real. Fourth, increase your income if you can. Learn a valuable skill. Get better at your job. Ask for raises. Switch jobs every few years. A $10,000 raise invested over your career is worth like $500,000 in retirement. Not sexy, but that's the whole point. The sexy stuff is usually fake or incomplete. The boring stuff is what actually builds wealth. So, final thoughts. Let's bring this back to where we started. It's 11 p.m. You're scrolling. Everyone looks successful except you. Now you know what you're actually looking at. Most of it is designed to sell you something. The inadequacy you feel, that's the marketing strategy working exactly as intended. Here's the shift I need you to make. Stop asking, what's wrong with me? Start asking, what are they selling? Because the person showing you their dream life at 24, they're not showing you a life, they're showing you a product, and you're the customer. Your attention is what they're harvesting, your insecurity is what they're profiting from. But here's what actually matters. Being debt-free at 30 is more impressive than looking rich at 24. Having 6 months saved is more valuable than 6 designer bags. Investing consistently is more powerful than posting constantly. Building real wealth is quieter, slower, and more boring than anything you'll see online. And that's exactly why it works. So here's what changes today. You stop being the product. You stop funding someone else's lifestyle with your anxiety. You stop comparing your real life to someone else's highlight reel. The moment you stop chasing how success looks and start building how it actually works, everything changes. Not next month, not when you're ready, right now. See you in the next one.